Welcome to Everyday Martial Artist, a weekly podcast where you'll join me, Brian Doucette, as I interview a different martial artist each episode and hear their story. Some guests you may have heard of, and some you probably haven't. Be sure to subscribe where all your favorite podcasts are available. Also visit our website at everydaymartialartist.com. If you're listening for a specific interview, I sure hope you'll stay and check out the other episodes. A very special thank you to Topher Williams for our custom theme music. And now, the newest episode of Everyday Martial Artist. Everyday Martial Artist is brought to you by KOOnline.com for all your martial arts needs. Sparring and safety gear, rank belts, uniforms, weapons, patches, and more. Wholesale supplies made by martial artists for martial artists. Visit us today at ko-online.com. Hello and welcome to Everyday Martial Artist. I'm your host, Brian Doucette, and as we do every Thursday, we chat with a brand new guest talking about their life and their journey throughout the world of martial arts and other stuff they've been involved in. My guest today is a United States Navy veteran. He has a degree in police science and served as a reserve officer. He was one of the top tournament competitors of his time, retired with more than 85 championship trophies, has appeared in several motion pictures, including A Force of One, Black Belt Jones, and Enter the Dragon, and he's co-founder of the Black Karate Federation. As his experience with life-changing benefits of martial arts and study became more apparent, he began to more vigorously pursue his spiritual calling. He is currently the bishop of the Family Church International. His inspirational story can be read in one of my favorite books by one of my favorite authors, Conquest Over Hatred, the Donnie Williams story, by previous guest Tom Bleeker. Please welcome to the show, Bishop Donnie Williams. How are you doing today, sir?
I am absolutely blessed and I'm enjoying just hearing what you just said.
well, that's good. Cool. Well, what we like to do with all my guests, I want to jump back to the beginning. Where was that first spark, that first interest that led you to start your martial arts journey?
Well, it was a negative reason. I started martial arts because I was a racist. I did not love white people in any form, and I wanted to avoid getting beat up because I got beat up by 4 white guys when I was in the military, getting out of the military rather. And I determined that would never happen again. And that was the starting point.
Okay. So you kind of started at a little later age then, because you had already been to the military. Now, did you have any martial arts training while in the military? Did you at least have a experience with it there?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Prior to the military, I had a training with Donald Griff in Monrovia, California.
Okay.
But that was just looking through the window at wanting to train and couldn't afford to do karate. And it really was like, an introduction, but I wasn't really a martial artist at the time, just wanting to train. But when I got in the military and went to Vietnam, there was a Tiger Division, a Korean group called the Tiger Division that I used to watch them train on the beach. And that really got my interest because they were just absolutely fantastic. So that really sprung me into the arts in a serious manner.
Okay. So then how did you go about finding and choosing your first school, your first instructor then?
Well, my first school was in Kingsville, Texas. I was at the naval base in Kingsville, Texas. And I went to a school. It was the only karate school in Kingsville, Texas. A guy named Jerry Actings. He's not alive anymore.
Okay.
But when I was there, I went to his school. And I asked, can I train martial arts? Because I was in the Navy and I was stationed there. But you're talking about 53 years ago now.
Right.
And he told me, he said, no, right now we don't allow colored people to train with us at this time, he said. And I said, well, fine, but I want to train, because I knew if I trained there, I would hurt somebody. And that did give me reason. But he said, no, he wouldn't want me to train. But at that time, karate lessons was only like $15 a month. That was expensive back then. Mm-hmm. And so I went back the second time. He told me, yeah, you can train. Come on. And charged me $25 a month.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
And then I started training, but the guys that was training there, they appreciate the fact that I was there. I was like fresh meat for them. And they would hurt me, and it always appeared it was accidental. Oh, excuse me. That type of, when I say accidental, they apologize for hitting me in my mouth and kicking my leg from under me. But they were so rough with me, they made me good because they wanted me to quit.
Oh, okay. And
I wouldn't quit. And it's like, I really want to share my heart on that because They didn't use the N word back then. The word was nigger. Okay, so it wasn't the N word. So my point is, I was treated really, but I refused to quit because I wanted to be good and I wanted to pay them back and I wanted to show them how. And I kept training for almost 9 months. 9 months of training was like 9 years in reality.
Wow.
Because I trained very hard and I kept going back and they kept wanting me to quit and I wouldn't quit. But the point in that is that was my opening in the martial arts. I can go into more detail about it, but that's basically my intro.
And then while you were there, did you attain any rank or did they not allow you to test or anything?
Well, they didn't really per se have tests. The instructor just promoted as he saw your ability.
Okay.
It was not a test. And I made a green belt at that time.
Okay. And what style was that? Was that just straight karate or was that?
No, when I trained, that was really taekwondo.
Oh, okay. And then did you get into competition at all at that time or did that come later?
No, they didn't let me go nowhere. They invited me to a tournament or told me about a tournament. Back then, it was hardcore and I just wasn't treated very good at that time.
Right.
But it helped me. It helped me because it made me better.
So then after that 9 months, what happened next? Where was your next step in your martial arts journey?
That's when I went from Kingsville, Texas to Da Nang, Vietnam. And when I got in Vietnam, that's when I saw the Tiger Division and really got interested in watching those Koreans. And I believe that's when I really met, I'm not sure, met Byung Yu. I heard of him there, but I never went face to face to him. I heard about Steve Sanders, but I can't place where he was at the time.
Okay.
But during that era, in Vietnam, these guys had also was in Vietnam.
So did they let you do any training with them at all, or just watch?
Oh no. These guys was like what we would call on today's level grandmasters, you know.
Okay.
And it was more mental and physical and endurance, and it was not like learning how to do a front kick or something. If you didn't know how to do a front kick, you weren't out there.
Okay. Wow. And how long were you there?
13 months and 13 days in Vietnam.
Wow. And then what came after that?
Then I came back to California and I began to look for a karate school. But I did not want to train in a white school, any white instructors at all. Mm-hmm. I wanted to find a black karate school or Korean, some, you know, because I remember I was a racist in the core of my heart. Right. I wasn't a racist because I was with a group or with a bunch of people. It was Donnie Williams being a racist because he was a racist. Okay. He was prejudiced. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
So I end up going to Haywood, California, and try to find, because I heard of Byung Yu and I saw write-ups in magazines and stuff after I got back, and so I end up finding him, and I end up going to his house, and he allowed me to train at his school. But I didn't have a place to live. When I got out of the military, I went from place to place running around. And so he let me stay at the school at that time. I think it was Howard Jackson hanging out around that time with me. But again, he wasn't famous. You understand that? These are just guys training.
Right.
So then Byung Yu, I began to get really pretty good. And Byung Yu allowed me to stay at his house. Literally, I slept in Byung Yu's closet, literally. Wow. Not jokingly,
okay.
Because I didn't have a place to stay while I was there. I stayed at the karate school, then I stayed at his house for a couple of months, and then I left and came back to Southern California looking for Steve Muhammad. And when I found Steve Muhammad, I decided never to go back to Haywood. I stayed out here and trained, and I met Steve by accident. I walked into this school where there was a bunch of black guys was training. And I remember I was cocky. I had a bad attitude. I was a racist. All the negatives in life I exhibit. Okay. So
okay.
I don't want to clean it up, but I wasn't mean and bad. I wasn't killing nobody or stabbing nobody or nothing, but I had all the negatives in my mind. So anyway, I walked into this school. Well, it really was school. It was like a warehouse or something there. I can't remember. Muhammad told me what it was, but I can't remember what he said. I went into school. They was training a guy named Big John and a few other people, and I end up seeing the guys train, and they really didn't look that good. They was really compatible. I would say orange belt, purple belt, and I was a brown belt at that time. And so I said to the guys on the floor, it was about 4 or 5 of them. I said, you know what? I think I can whoop any of you guys, any of you. And the instructor looked at me. I don't remember his name now, but he looked at me and he just ignored me like I didn't say nothing at all. You know, because I said it aloud with an attitude, but not angry. Just, by the way, I think I can whoop any of you. And this little 12-year-old boy was sitting on the bench, maybe 3 feet from me. He looked at me and he said, "Hey, mister." I said, "Yes." He said, "You know who that is over there?" And I said, "No, and I really don't care." To the little boy, but very nice. I wasn't, negative in the sense of the kid, but I just said, "No, and I really don't care." And he said to me, "That's Steve Sanders." And I wanted to bite my tongue because remember, all I knew about Steve Sanders was his reputation with Ed Parker.
Right.
And because, I just know him by write-up. I didn't know him by person. And so I looked over at him. I kind of leaned forward and looked over and saw him. And when I saw this guy was like 165 or 70 pounds. And what I heard of him, he had to be the fastest guy in the world as far as I was concerned. And I said to them out loud, I said, "You know what? Me and Steve Sanders can whoop all of y'all together." Everybody bust up laughing, including Steve Sanders. And he laughed. And I went over and said, "Sir, I apologize for my rudeness." And I introduced myself and we talked then. And that was it's 53 years ago. So what would that be? 1979 or 78.
Okay.
And so he said, he laughed and he said, "You're pretty funny," he said to me. And we've been friends from that day until now.
Wow. That's a great story. So what led you to competition then? When did you decide to start competing in tournaments?
When Steve Muhammad started the Black Karate Federation in 1979 as a legitimate organization, and he started up and was training in the park and so on, we had to put the guys some of the kids in competition because they wanted to fight. And when we put them in competition, naturally the instructors, myself, Steve, and Jerry Smith, and a few of the other guys that was teaching, they went and compete also, because the students was competing. And that's where it all began. I started there, and I've been blessed to compete in just about, at least 10 different countries and definitely all over the United States. But I did that, and the more I was in the martial arts and competing, the better I got, the nicer I became, because it became all a stunt. Mm-hmm. I used to wear a cape when I went to the karate tournaments. Really? I used to carry my gi top iron and press in a briefcase. I would carry my gi top iron press, in that, just all part of the show.
Okay.
And I used to tell my students, if a white man would beat me, I'll retire. And that was my attitude. And that's what kept me competing, my big mouth. I wasn't that great. I had a big mouth and, did all kind of crazy stuff. So, in fact, they wrote an article in Karate Illustrated. It said, "Karate Last Angry Man."
Okay.
And so anyway, that's my story up to, maybe the first 15 years of my training.
Okay. So what was it like at the internationals in Long Beach back then? I mean, I've heard it was at that point like the biggest tournament in the world. What was just the atmosphere like in the experience in a tournament that big as a young competitor?
The internationals was the martial arts or karate Olympics. That was our Olympics. That was there was no tournament in the world bigger than the international. I have no statistics I can give you to be absolutely correct, But I know when I won the championship, I won the world's title in 1977. There were at that time over 500 black belts competing, just black belts.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Because they would split us up into groups. So you had to, I remember fighting 4 or 5 times, and there's at least, 60, 70 guys in my ring. And then it fought all day long, all day long. So,
wow.
And then when you got to the last 4 in the finals, or the last 2 in the finals, they would go into Sunday night to compete. But it was such a big event. I did not enter in 1977 just to compete as a competitor. I had retired, but that spirit, that evil spirit that was in me rose up when the guy said that I cheated his student. And naturally, that brought on a challenge, and I accepted the challenge, and I borrowed a gi from Sammy Pace. And Willie McLaughlin, I used his pants, I used Sammy's top and cup. And so I end up in that becoming the world champion.
Nice. Yeah. And I know that story in the book is so good. Just kind of, obviously I want to encourage people to read the book because, like I said, it's one of my favorite books. It's such an amazing book. Just a great read. And I encourage everyone to read it. But tell just a little bit about the story and the deal you made with God before that fight.
Oh yeah. Well, my mom is a missionary, and and so she's always told the family about God and our relationship with God, and the type of people we should be. But when your parents are in church, you want to stay as far away from church as possible. But I went into this guy. He angered me so bad until I, as I say, borrowed gis, and I went into the bathroom to pray. And I knelt down because I didn't want nobody to see me inside a stall over a toilet. And I said this to God. I said, if you help me whoop this guy, I would serve you. And I said that with such sincerity, and I really meant it 100%. Because I knew if I said that, God would bless me, and then we'll deal with it later. So I had that kind of faith back then as a non-active Christian. And so I went out from that and competed. I competed just to win him. I wasn't competing to become the world champion. That was not my motive. My motive was, I'm going to get to him, I'm going to whoop him, and then I'll go from there. I'll stop. Well, he was in a different ring, and I had to keep winning. And after I win, I go see how his fight goes, and he'll win. I keep winning, he kept winning. And he and I end up in the finals. And naturally, in the finals, that's when it all came to a head. I could not have written a script for that to turn out the way it did, but that's the way it turned out. I was blessed to be able to win that fight.
I love that story. That story brought me to tears when I read it in the book. It's such an amazing, powerful story.
But see, another thing is, now after I won, I didn't serve God, like I said.
Not right away.
I did not serve him. I did everything I could do. I was blessed at that point. I did 2 movies in Japan after I became the champion. Tadashi Yamashita asked me, and I went with him and did 2 movies in Japan with Tadashi Yamashita. Came back, did 2 movies with Chuck Norris. When I got back, Breaker was the first one I did with Chuck Norris. I had a little small scene with a few lines in it, and then God just kept blessing, and different people would ask me to be in films with them, and it just things, and naturally, and Enter the Dragon was the very first thing we did when I got back. And I always tell people this: Enter the Dragon, I was the main star in Enter the Dragon. I had 2.3 seconds in that movie.
Wow.
So that's a lot of movie time in Enter the Dragon.
Yes.
And so I tell them that I was a star. And the reason I use that term was I did a film after that with Chuck Norris, Force of One. Mm-hmm. I had a character part I played. I mean, it was very small, but a character part I played in that one. And I got more publicity and response from people And all I said was, Muhammad was point at me and called me to the front, and I'll say, ready, and that was the whole line. That was it. I'm now a movie star because I did ready into the dragon, and and that movie did more for me than any film I've done up to that point. I did like 3 or 4, maybe 5. I did one with Jim Kelly after that. Anyway, it never, Enter the Dragon, that 3.2 seconds did more for me than the last movie. I just did a movie last year called Camp Arrowhead. It's playing now on Amazon now.
Okay.
And that movie I'm co-starring in. And I'm the lead, not the lead in starring, but the lead in the film. The whole movie was about my character. And that movie haven't done for me what Enter the Dragon did.
Wow. That's great. So is Hollywood, like making movies, is that something you tried to do on your own, or is it someone just talked you into it?
You know, I never really wanted to be an actor because I'm not, what's the right term? I'm not motivated to study and read scripts, and that's not my motivation. Last year, I did a film myself called Brothers by Choice. And when I say I did it, I produced it, directed, and my production company did it. And in fact, I'll send you a copy of it because I did this. I had some DVDs made of it.
Oh wow!
And that movie only cost me to do it. Now I bought all my equipment, but that movie only cost me $20,000, and I had Muhammad is in it for a few minutes.
Oh,
so. But I'll send you a copy if you text me after we finish the address I can send it to. I'll send you a copy of it.
Definitely. Thank you.
Now, it's not a great movie. It's only $20,000, but I'll tell you what, it's real. It's my baby.
Yeah.
It's my baby. So, but anyway, yes, I never had a desire to be an actor. I've only done one interview in my life for a movie. And that was Killer Elite. I went and read for that with Sam Peckinpah. And Sam didn't want, he hired me to do it, and then he changed his mind. In fact, I still get paid for that movie, and I never was in it because I had a contract with Sam Peckinpah.
Wow.
But anyway, the point is that's the only movie I've done where I went and read for it. The rest of them, they just asked me to do it, and I went and did it.
Okay. So
even this last movie, the same thing I did last year.
Mm-hmm.
That movie that script was written for my goodness. I always say that the singer that wear the white shoes. I can't think of his name at the moment. Okay. But it was written for him, and TBN, the son of Paul Crouch Jr., asked me to go and for that movie, and I didn't want to read for that. I told him no. And then they came to me again, and I accepted to do it. So, yeah, I've never had to go and read, because that's not something I really want to do. I like behind the scenes, though. Mm-hmm. I like working behind the scenes.
Okay. What led you to do the book with Tom? And did anyone ever approach you before that to try to get you to tell your story?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
Okay.
But nobody had the reputation, the skill, or the quality of writing like Tom Bleecker.
Right.
Tom Bleecker is probably one of the best, and it's not because he just did the book for me, but he's probably one of the best writers in script and in a book form that I've dealt with. He's very good. I was just inspired by him. The fact that he would do it was a plus for me.
Right.
Tom Bleecker is not cheap. If you hire him, you're gonna pay big bucks to have him write a book. So it's not like I didn't hire him to write it. So I'm just saying it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure having him. I got involved with him through the arts and being a part with Kempo and so on. So all of that is part of it, because my Kempo training, when I met with Steve Muhammad, went from Taekwondo to Kempo.
Right.
So Tom Bleecker was an excellent Kempo man himself.
And how has the book been received? Everyone
very, 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 very well. I don't know the full sales. I guess we could look on you can Google it, but it did okay. It did okay.
Nice.
At least I did okay from it.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. So has there ever been any talk or anything about doing a movie about your story? Because, I mean, after reading the book, I mean, just hearing your story is enough. But, I mean, just after reading it, I mean, I would think that would make a great movie.
Well, we did have a major production company contact me to do the movie. But for some reason, it never happened. And I can't tell you the reason. I don't know. I even followed up and they just changed their mind in doing the book, doing the movie from the book. But I'm sure that will happen because there's several other people have talked to me about it and wanted me to sign with them.
Okay.
But they don't have the capital or the notoriety for me to want to do that.
Okay. So if you got to pick, who would you want to play you in the movie?
I really don't know. I think Samuel Jackson would be, if I had a character like, he would be the one that played me right now at my age.
That'd be awesome.
But as a young person in the time coming up, I really don't know. I really don't have anyone in mind.
Yeah. Would you want an unknown or would you want a big name to play you if you had to pick?
I just want someone that had charisma.
Okay.
They have to have charisma and personality because that's the key to me. A known person that have no charisma would do me no good.
Right.
And an unknown person with charisma would be an example would be this. Now, when you see Bruce Lee, his dialogue was the worst in the world.
Mm-hmm.
His personality wasn't that great. But boy, did he have charisma.
Yes.
He can just walk on the screen. Once his face hit the screen, you see the back of his head. And that told a lot. He just had the charisma. His moves, his I don't know how to explain his technique. All of it fit together and he had charisma. That's what made him, like I tell people, Bruce Lee, they asked me this question. I'm sure they probably ask you the same question. Who would win if you fought Bruce Lee? Do you think you can beat Bruce Lee in a tournament? And I tell people this, I don't know of any tournament that Bruce Lee had won.
Right.
I don't know of any. I met him at the International when he did his demonstration. I was there. I met him at Warner Brothers Studio because I was the trainer at that time for Sterling Celifon. I was his physical fitness trainer. And I sat there when he was doing the Green Hornet, mm-hmm. and Sterling Celifon and him met quite a bit. So, but I don't know. Maybe you know of a tournament he won. I don't know of any.
No, I don't think he ever actually competed in tournaments. He was, I know he's fought in the streets growing up and stuff, and it kind of depends who you ask.
Yeah, and he's probably one of the best martial art actors ever hit the screen.
Yeah.
But I tell people, it's like I tell him this: John Wayne wasn't a cowboy, but you can't tell my daddy that. But he still wasn't a cop.
That's true.
But there are people that declare they were the best cops in the world, the best cowboy in the world.
Yep.
So, but anyway, my point is, in saying all of that is, I don't know who would play me, mm-hmm. and I don't have anybody in mind at this point.
Okay. I hope we get to see that movie. I really do. I would love to see that. So is there anyone throughout your tournament career, anyone that you never got to fight with in a tournament that you wish you could have?
Just about every known name that did well in the tournament world, I've competed. The Joe Louis, the mm-hmm. Chuck Norris. I guess the only one that he lived in my neighborhood now. That I wish I was able to compete back then, not now, because, I'm 75 years old.
Right.
But then would have been Benny the Jet.
Yes.
And Benny the Jet has such boxing, full contact, point contact. That boy, he was just awesome in all of it. And but I never fought Benny the Jet. Never. Okay. Because he's with big weight difference. I was a middleweight and he was a lightweight.
Right.
But if I win my division, I would fight the lightweight. So, but anyway, my point is I've never fought him ever. I fought everybody else. John Natividad. You name them, I fought him.
Okay, good. No, Benny be a good one.
Oh, Benny would have been I just say even now I wouldn't want to deal with Benny, but back then I would have.
Nice. So what advice would you give to someone who contacts you and they've never done martial arts in their life and they're thinking of getting involved? What tips would you give them, like what to look for in a school and maybe what to avoid in a school?
Well, the actual style or system or school wouldn't even matter. And the reason I say that is this. If I get a Coca-Cola bottle and a broomstick and I train someone well how to use that, and they put in the time, put in the work and practice, they can become great. So the style is irrelevant. The system is irrelevant. What's important is, are they willing to put in the work? If you're willing to put in the work, results will come. Okay. I guarantee you. That is, most martial artists seek out a belt. A belt will not make you good.
Right.
In fact, a belt can make you look bad. It is better to have no belt and look good than to have a black belt and look bad. So I will pursue the training. Anything you put in, you put the time in. The Bible said in a certain way, it says, whatsoever a man soweth, that shall that man reap. So you can only get out what you are putting in. If you don't put orange juice in the glass, don't expect to drink orange juice when you turn it to your mouth.
Okay.
So it's important that you put in the training and you will see the results. You know, it's like I tell people when it comes to money, all you need is a purpose in life. If you have a purpose in life, money will find you. But if you desire and pursuing money, money will avoid you. And you would have to work real hard just to get it.
Okay.
But if you enjoy what you do, I guarantee you, money will find you.
Nice.
So success will find any person today, no matter what style it is, if they put the work in.
Great answer. I like that. All right. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on like MMA and the UFC? And are you a fan at all?
Yes, I am. I don't really do the pay-per-view per se as my friends do.
Yep.
But yes, the MMA, I think that is a good sport. They're very good fighters, but I don't call that martial arts.
Okay.
It's not martial arts. It is competitive fighting using kicks, elbows, knees, and punches and throws and whatever you can get to work, you use it.
Yep.
And you have to have the skill. I'm not diminishing. I'm not telling you they're not skillful fighters. They are. They're warriors. But I don't consider that the martial arts. It must have an art to it. No, it's not. The martial arts is not a blood sport. It's an art. And you practice your skill and you practice that skill. You know, it's like I tell people, they say, well, when you practice and you pull a punch, you're going to do the same thing when you are fighting. You're going to pull a punch.
Yep.
I tell them that's not true, because what you're learning is you're learning how to control the punch. If anything you don't control will hurt you. I don't care what it is. If you got a wife you can't control, she'll hurt you. You got a dog you can't control, it'll hurt you. Yep. So anything you can't control will hurt you. So a martial artist has to learn how to control his kicks, his punches, and etc. So, but when it comes to MMA, my objective is to get you to bleed, and for me to see blood and to knock you out. It's not about controlling nothing. It's about me just doing whatever I can do to that I practice to control you.
Okay.
So, but the MMA, that is a good sport. I'm not condemning, and those are warriors.
Right. Nice. Okay. Good answer. So, who are some martial artists that you would put on your Mount Rushmore of martial arts?
Number 1, Steve Muhammad.
Nice.
Number 2, Ed Parker.
Nice. Okay.
Number 3 would be Benny the Jet.
Very cool. Okay.
Number 4, if I had to choose the 4th person out of all the people I know, would be Grandmaster Byung Yu. So those are the ones that I would set there to look at.
Nice. At least 2 that no one else has ever said before. So I like that. I like having new answers on that. So All right.
Mhm.
So in all your years of martial arts, do you have a favorite philosophy you've learned in martial arts? Maybe one that you still use in your everyday life and still come back to?
Yes. The theme is the mantra is this: karate is my skill. I will defend my friends and my loved ones to the end. But when I present myself day or night, they will always know I'll walk away, I'll run away, but if I have to, I will fight.
Nice. Very cool. I like that.
And
Okay.
another one that I hold on to is this: the only fight I have never lost is the one I've never had to get in.
I like that. That's a good one too.
So I believe that the martial arts, the art itself, represent who I am. And fighting is not, you can teach a dog how to fight,
right?
But can you teach a dog how to think? When you train the martial arts, it's not what you do with your knee, your feet, and your hands. It's what you do with your mind. So it's important to maintain a strong, powerful mind. And if you got to fight to prove you can whoop somebody, you lost the fight before you got in it because you don't know if you can do it.
Right. Great answers. I love those answers. All right. So these last few now, you can't pick anything that you yourself have been involved with. So first of all, do you have a favorite martial arts book?
Yeah, but they're not well known. They're probably
okay. Well, that's even better.
they're not well known. But the only well-known one is really not per se martial arts, but it's one called The Secrets in Life for the Warrior.
Okay.
That book, I don't think it's even, because it was a friend of mine that wrote it, and the secrets were finding yourself, learning how to find out who you are, and then taking you, believing in you, and preparing you to fight.
Okay.
Be your own trainer. The whole moral of it is train yourself type of thing. But the secret was you need to know who you are. Any well-known martial art books, I guess. I'm trying to think. I read Benny's book.
Yep.
I really like that. I've read the martial artists that I do know that have books. I don't know if I read their books entirely. I just read some of it.
Okay.
So there is no book. I'm not a great reader of books anyway.
Okay.
Except the Bible.
Right. Oh, that's okay. Okay. How about a favorite martial arts TV show?
I really did love Kung Fu series. I really did.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one that I really did love. Yeah, that would be the only one I would put in the category of that I enjoy watching.
Okay. Now, did you ever watch the sequel that came out in the early 90s, the Kung Fu, The Legend Continues?
I probably have, but I can't recall it in my mind right now, but I think I have.
Okay. All right. And final question, favorite martial arts movie?
Well, my Enter the Dragon, definitely my favorite of all time.
Yep.
And second to that would be, I guess, Chuck Norris's one. Force of One, I really liked the way it was done.
Okay.
And even though I was in it, but I watch it quite a bit, not so much to watch me, but to see how I like his move. I think Enter the Dragon and Force of One.
Okay. Okay. So I got to ask, as a Kempoist, did you enjoy Perfect Weapon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I should have named that one. I really should have been one. Make that my third one.
I just thought of that because I actually just interviewed Jeff Speakman a couple hours ago, so we were talking about that movie a little bit. So,
okay, yes, that was good. I did. Yes, the answer is yes.
Well, three good movies, and that's good. Awesome, cool. Well, Donnie, I just want to thank you. This has been so much fun. I know we kind of talked about it for a while and both have very busy schedules. I'm glad we were very, finally able to actually schedule this and sit down and chat. And I've enjoyed hearing about your story and looking forward to seeing the movie you're talking about. And hopefully the movie about you someday. I'd still love to see that. And I will continue to recommend your book to as many people as I can. So
I really appreciate it. But let me just say how much I thank you for giving me this opportunity, because it also enhance and help me. It does. It opened up Donnie Williams to other people who may not know him. And also, I want to say I really do thank God for the privilege that He's given me to even speak to people. And my prayer is that from what I say, I hope I didn't sound or act like I'm some great thing, because
No,
I'm
not at
really,
all.
I'm really not. And I really do believe in my Lord and Savior, Jesus the Christ. And I honestly want to be an excellent representation. Martial arts is something that I truly, truly love. And my relationship with God is something I really, truly, truly love. So I pray and I hope that whomever heard me will hear God in my voice as well as my history, because I don't want to disclose, make it look like I was this nice guy in the past, because I really wasn't. So anyway, but I want to say thank you for allowing me this opportunity.
Thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist. We hope you will join us every week for a brand new episode with a different martial artist telling their story. If you enjoy the show, be sure to leave us a review. Also, be sure to check out our website at everydaymartialartist.com. There you can find all of our episodes and contact us to suggest guests and ask questions. Again, thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist, and we'll see you next week.